city council up to a U.S. Senate, I think. And I just explained what each office would, and we took a vote. And the vote was that I should run for the state legislature. And so I did. I went down to the Republican headquarters. I'm a Republican, of course. I am very conservative. I was at the time. I have always been, even when I was your age. And in my, well, we didn't have junior high. I went to a Catholic school. We had 1 through 8, and then 9 through 12. So we didn't have middle school. But I was very political even when I was in the elementary school. I mean, I don't know why. I've just always been interested in it. A little weird that way, I know. But so I went down to Republican headquarters and I said, look, I just made this deal with my students, and I don't know. I just told them I would run, and they said, yeah, okay, fine. And I actually ended up winning the primary and then winning the election. And so that is the beginning of this process. And I went to my parents and I said, look, you got to help me, because I can't leave my job. And now I told these kids that I'd run for office. What am I going to do? You got to help. Now, they had both retired from, my mom worked for a department store for 45 years as a clerk. My dad worked for a packing plant. They retired. They said, I said, you got to help me. You got to go out and hand out stuff. So we handed out a card that we still give out to this day. And it says, Tancredo recipe for spaghetti sauce. It was my mom's spaghetti sauce recipe. And that is what we handed out every single day. And my dad would go up one side of the block, my mom up the other side of the block. First, and one day my dad says to me, that's it, I quit, I've had it. I said, what do you mean, you quit? You can't quit my campaign? What am I going to do? I can't go out and, I have a job, I can't just go out and do this every day. He says, well, it's tough, because your mom, it's the same thing. He says, I walk up my side of the block, I hand out all my cards. I look across the street, your mother's not there. I go to her side of the block, and I start working it. And I go all the way down to the very first house. And there she is, saying, but he's such a good boy. So he says, you got to get going. I mean, you can't just stay at one house. I said, Mom, you got to, And she says, well, I know, Tom, but they'll ask me stuff about what you're all about politically. And I would say, because they were not political at all. They just didn't know anything about politics. So she'd say, I don't know, but he's a good boy. Well, I got elected. And the first day I gave a speech as the newly elected state representative. I walked off, and this guy grabbed my arm and he said, now who are you again? And I said, well, I'm Tom Tancredo, I'm your new state representative. And he said, what happened to that older guy I voted for? Because of course he voted for my dad. And I think half of the others voted for my mom. But I was the one that was elected. So I ended up and that was 1976, I was elected to the Colorado legislature, and as they say, the rest is history. Now, and then I was elected to the Congress of the United States in 1998. And yesterday I filed, and I was the first major party candidate to file for election here, for the primary here in New Hampshire, and which was great fun. And this is a terrific experience. And I must admit to you that being here brings me back in time, because as I say, I started out teaching, well, or at least trying to teach people civics, and here I am sort of living the experience. I sometimes wish I could have gone back, and I still hear from kids that I taught in that class, the class of kids that went out and worked on campaigns. I still get emails from them all the time, and it's cool to think over now 30 years, all the things that have happened, and just it's amazing what happens in your life, little things that happen that you never think will. I mean, you can't see at the time they're happening how much they'll have an impact over years and years, but every single day is like that.
Congressman?
Yes.
Anybody want to ask a question?
Yes, please.
Of the congressman?
Yes,
How'd you
ma'am.
find out about our school? Like, it's so small, we usually don't have a lot of people come in. Usually it's the bigger schools that do.
This gentleman right here, who is the state chairman the county chair for the Republican Party, helped us pick it out with this lady right here, who is my campaign chairman for the state of New Hampshire, Shelley Uzinski. And when I get here, they hand me a schedule, and on it, the school was listed. I don't know. You can answer that question. How did we pick this school?
I picked the school because I live in Sunapee, and this is part of my life, the school, and also because I believe that you are a great bunch of kids and that you're intellectually tuned into the political process, and it'd be a great thing to take every presidential candidate that we could get our hands on to come through our school and meet you and talk to you so that you have an understanding, and maybe you'll all sign petitions to have one of your teachers run for the state legislature.
That's exactly right. That's why I tried to warn them when they were listening to here.
Any other questions of the congressman?
Yes, ma'am.
This is kind of like a big issue. What's your stance on global warming?
Question. The question is, what is my stance on global warming? I have no doubt that it is something that is occurring. But what I am certainly not sure of at all is the degree to which human beings actually affect it. And that's still a very contentious point. For every single report that I get from somebody saying